League was kind of always my intention because before Rocket League, I was pro in 2 other games. So I eventually got pro in Call of Duty, but that was like way back when esports wasn't even a thing. So I've been in esports for 11, 12 years because I'm 27. So when I was pro in Call of Duty, I was 15.
Oh, wow.
Jeez. God, I'm so old. And but esports back then was a joke. Like I was signed to a team that didn't pay me called Team Caliber. We were their first PC team. And then I don't even know if they would even remember that. But Team Caliber ended up being a huge Call of Duty team, like years down the line. I don't think they're still going anymore, but they have like 2 million Twitter followers or something like that now. Anyway, they were a huge team, and but they were more console based. And then I was pro in a game called Hearthstone. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Yeah, I played
that. Esport is still going. It's like a card game made by Blizzard, and I was a streamer / player there, and I just didn't like where the game was going. I didn't like the feel for it anymore, so I left for this game because I thought this game had a really bright future, and I enjoyed it way, way more. I've played the new game Valorant, obviously, but even Valorant's kind of like a remake. Like, I feel like there's just so many remakes lately. That's why I kind of like Rocket League, because Rocket League is the first game in a while that came out that was different than everything else.
Yeah.
It wasn't just another BR or another shooter. I don't know. It just was something different. That's why I really liked it. So right now, for me, new game is Valorant. But other than that, I play Fortnite because I just do. It's probably embarrassing to say, but I do because I like it. My boyfriend lives in Scotland, so things like that we can play to stay connected while we're apart because we can't see each other right now. So
yeah,
and we usually are living together most of the time, so it's kind of odd right now. So we kind of play anything. We play Minecraft. I just started. It's not really a new game, but for me, it's new. I have never played it before, so this is like my first time playing it. And we started about a month ago, so I'm like a month into it, and that's a pretty good game. Sometimes I play Overwatch with my friends, but that's not really something new I've done. Those are pretty much the only games in quarantine. My life is pretty much quarantine anyway. No, just kidding. But
no, everyone's been asking me like how I'm dealing with it, and I'm like, it's pretty much the same as my normal life.
Well, what's funny is quarantine to me, I was like, oh, it's not gonna be a big deal. Like I'm isolated anyway. I mean, I'm super extroverted, so I like going out with my friends and going to bars and hanging out at their house or just in the city. And now that I don't have the option to do that, I didn't think it would be that big of a deal, but it kind of is a big deal when I can't just do whatever I want. Now I feel like an athlete where I just want to go and do all these things when I can. And it's just like, I'm not really going to do that. I've never done these things like in the past few years regularly. Like, sure, I do them sometimes, but so I don't know what my brain thinks. That's how quarantine's been for me. Oh yeah, that's a long story. So my gamer tag comes from kind of my life struggle, which is weird to say. Coming into the world, I had to have surgery, and I kind of was fighting for my life for a while. But despite all that, I found love in athletics, sports. I just play anything I could, and it was really hard because I was dealing with these things that nobody knew. And I just kept doing it because I loved it, even though it was really difficult. And I became really good at it. My dad was my coach, and I was getting scouted for college teams in basketball when I was in middle school. Wow. And these were good college teams, like UConn and Tennessee and stuff like that were interested in watching our matches. So for women's basketball, like that's a big deal for college. And when I entered high school, my doctors, you have to get a physical, when you go into high school. And when I got the physical, my doctors looked at it and they were like, yeah, you can't play anymore. Any types of physical sports, because any type of contact the wrong way, you could get really hurt. And I was just completely, I went numb. Honestly, my whole world kind of went numb. That's kind of the best way I can describe it, is I lost feeling for everything, because that was my life. Like, that was the only thing that I held on to my whole little life, was my sports. And I just used it to get through hard times and take my mind off things. It was kind of like my escape. And when I was told that I can't play anymore, and I had these dreams of going to college and all these things, and I just felt like all that was snuffed out by something that I couldn't really control. That's how I found video games. Was one of my friends who kept reaching out to me, was like, hey, you should play this game called Call of Duty with me. And I had kind of played games when I was younger, of course, like here and there at my friend's house, but I never really played games. So then I got into it, and I had a really good time playing this computer game with him, called Call of Duty. And it felt like sports to me. Like, I was competing against other people, and I was so focused on getting better at it that I stopped thinking about, all these pressures going on. It was like a nice little break, and fell in love with it that way. So that's how I got into gaming. And then my gamer tag, I had to pick one for the game. And I wanted to pick something cool, but I didn't want it to be too cool, and I didn't want it to be nerdy either. So I was like thinking about it, and I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to be. And then I started thinking about words that had like deep meanings. So then I Googled words that had deep meanings, and I didn't like any of them. They were all kind of complicated. I knew of the word karma, obviously, but I feel like I heard it somewhere. And it just popped into my head, and I was like, oh, that's kind of girly. Other than like all these other names that I've seen, like, because I wanted the girly name, obviously. So I thought karma was kind of feminine. And then I thought that it was a good word to pick because of all the things that I went through when I was young. And that maybe if I channeled that into like what I'm doing or gaming, that it would spin around. If I pick karma, maybe, I don't know, some good things will happen when I'm older because I went through crap when I was younger. So that was how it came to be. Long explanation, but there's a lot of meaning behind it. But yeah. I'm glad I got with it because it could have been way worse.
Oh yeah, no, they're really bad usernames out there.
Because my YouTube is Karma the Sniper. I don't know if you know that. I added the Sniper at one point. Because I don't know why, and the Boston accent on top of it. So
yeah, that's what I like.
Karma the Sniper with an AH. It's not just A, and it's just like I got rid of that. Thankfully, that wasn't permanent, but. This one's embarrassing. Okay. My pick is Tom Brady, and it's really obvious because I'm from Boston, and it's so cheesy to say. But, like I said, I grew up on sports. The main reason why I probably look up to him, it's also just because of his story and kind of how he approaches things. He's always viewing things as a team. At least he acts that way from the outside. He views things as a team, and he wasn't picked first. Mm-hmm. That was a big thing. He wasn't like coddled like a lot of players are. Not that that's a bad thing, but he was picked like almost last, and he wasn't the first choice for everyone, and everyone overlooked him. And I kind of just really felt that way my whole career. I always have felt like I was never people's first choice, and I never understood why, but I kind of just kept going, and I would try out for teams, and I would try out against people who I thought I was better than, and a lot of people would say I'm better than, and then I would never get picked. And I just looked up to him when I was in those situations because it's like, oh, well, he was never picked either, and look at how good he's doing. So whether you're successful as an athlete like Tom Brady, you're the best, or you're even just making it there is incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where my cheesy Tom Brady look up comes from.
You said being a pilot.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, so one of the nerdiest things about me is that I've always been interested in fighter planes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how. And I don't know why. It's just something about the way that they move through the air is just kind of like it's a painting or something. It's so just pretty. The way that, like, they're spinning. It's kind of like Rocket League. They're, like, spinning in the air and they're going up and down. And
yeah.
When I was younger, I wanted to be one so bad. I just saw them and I was like, oh my god, I want to do that. I want to fly around in these planes and, you know, go super fast and, like, control this vehicle thing. And I mean, how many people do you think ever get to do that at once? There must be, like, maybe 200 people in the world that can do that. Well, I'm sure there's more, but, you know, it just seems so awesome. I get that question a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go on for hours about how awful it is or how good it is.
I mean, it's, like, prestigious, though. It's like you have the title.
Yeah, it is very prestigious, but at the same time, I feel like I'm defined by it, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
You know?
Fair.
I just want to be talked about as a good player, a great player, not the best female player. I want to be more than that. And as much as I enjoy, you know, taking the responsibility of being a girl player and everything that comes with it in terms of, you know, being the only one and being looked up to by other women in the community and to set precedent and stuff like that. There's a big part of me that sometimes wishes that it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
And that I could be treated just like everyone else.
Yeah, I can definitely relate with golf stuff because I was the only girl on the team, and I had to play to keep my spot every week, but no one else had to.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of benefits to being the only girl, too. There are. I'm not going to deny that. It's easier to get recognized. It's easier to get notoriety. It's easier to get your name out there because you're known as the girl. And while that sucks, it is recognizable, and it is a way that you can become known for something and build a reputation from there.
Yeah.